In this video, I'm going to teach you how to clean the interior of a car, more specifically the steering wheel. So that's what we'll be focusing on in this video. Before we get started, if you are doing this as a business or thinking about doing this as a business, then when you're gonna do interior cleanings, you wanna make sure your pre-inspection phase is very thorough to make sure you know what you're gonna clean, how long it's gonna take you. So in the link in the description box down below, there will be a guide on how to perform a pre-inspection, just to make sure you're covering all the areas and you don't get there, you start cleaning and you notice, oh man, this thing I'm doing here is gonna take me now an extra hour, I'm not gonna make as much money, the customer's gonna wait longer for the car. So just check the description box down below to get the pre-inspection guide before you start an interior cleaning. Okay, so we have the Detail Buddy brushes. This is the large one, as you can tell. This is the medium one. Now I always use this one as the agitation brush. This one is basically, think about it as the drying towel, whereas this will agitate, and once I'm done cleaning with, I'll use this one to basically dry it out with this brush in the real nooks and crannies of the wheel. So this for agitation, this one gets wet. This one for the most part stays dry and is a drying brush. Next we have this bristle brush. You can find this literally anywhere in your local auto parts store, Home Depot, Lowe's, online. And then we have the good old toothbrush. Essentially the same things, one or the other. I have them for both, for whatever reason. Then I have Meguiar's All-Purpose Cleaner D101, diluted 10:1, as always if you've been a part of this video for any length of time. And next, 2 towels, same method, where it's one's for the primary cleanup, the other one's to buff off any streaks that may be remaining. So one towel is going to be really saturated, and then this one's going to stay more so dry than this one. Okay, so one thing you want to keep in mind is if you can clean the steering wheel, try to clean this first before you clean everything else, just because even if you wanted to spray into the brush and keep it real tight, you will get some overspray. So first start off with the steering wheel. That way if you do get overspray, you didn't already clean it and you're not going over yourself. So just start with the steering wheel first, and then move on to the rest of the wheel, of the dashboard. So I'll start off by, depending on how dirty it is, this one's pretty dirty, but you can't really tell because it's black. But I will start off just by agitating here in the center console in small circular motions. Now what brush you use is completely up to you, your preference, because you can also use the bristle brush and it'll get you the same results, depending again how dirty it is and the type of material it is, because maybe it is really dirty. And I'll put a towel below me, that way I can just spray it into the brush and none of it gets on me, to stay a little bit cleaner. Depending on how dirty it is will dictate, you know, the level of aggression you need on the cleaning. So you just agitate, and you kind of want to know, like, for the most part, generally speaking, these areas will probably be dirtier than like this section, just how you naturally grab the steering wheel. But right now I'm just gonna work on the face, then I'll work on the sides, the steering wheel. So I work on it part by part. That way I don't lose track of myself and I don't, you know, accidentally miss something altogether. I'm gonna take this one last time, and then I'll take the towel and mop it up. As you can tell, that's pretty dirty right there. And again, you want to be kind of light, because I'm mobile, so I'm always out in the customer's location. So if I, you know, press too hard, then it's gonna honk, and it's something I feel like that's kind of rude because they think I'm trying to call them out. So just be wary, like don't try to press on it too hard, because then you honk the horn, the customer might come out, and it's just like, I don't know. To me, it seems kind of rude. I'd never call out a customer by honking the horn, but still. But anyways, as you can tell, it is pretty dirty. And I won't brush it off yet, but like here in these, and you can't tell because the camera's not close enough, but there is, you know, a bit of a wedge here that you can't get. So I will use a dry brush to make sure I get all the solution out and the dust out of those little wedges. Next, I'll move on to the controls here, or on the back side. Again, you can develop your own system. I'm just explaining you how I typically do it. So with this one, I'll go straight for the bristle brush, and then I will work the face. Again, it depends how bad it is. There's no controls over there, but this one's actually not that bad. It looks kind of sensitive, so I'll just brush it with this. And again, you don't just want to look at it from one perspective. You want to angle your head to make sure you're getting as much of the grime, because obviously looking at facing front, then yeah, I mean, you'll get this side. But then if you don't look around, this area might be really dirty. The back side of the steering wheel might be really dirty, and you might be able to feel the texture, or the customer might be able to feel the texture. So you just want to make sure you're looking at it in different perspectives to make sure you're cleaning it to the best of your ability. All right, and then we'll get this, mop that up. Again, there's the dirt. And again, the way we get all this dirt is because basically, you know, our hands are very busy touching food, sweating, you know, just touching so many surfaces, and then we come back here so frequently, and we're always grabbing the steering wheel, so it's just naturally gonna get dirty from food, makeup, grease, sweat, any other type of dirt that you can think of. So that's why it gets dirty. Again, so you wanna look over, you wanna bend over and make sure you're inspecting all the areas, because most of the time these areas will need to be cleaned, the entire backside, and just, you know, where our hands rest when we're driving. So you do want to inspect those areas. And one little note, a little hack that I do is when I'm using this type of bristle brush, it will sling a bit, as if you can pick that up. So I always use a towel and just wrap and just kind of cover myself with it, and I'll just agitate like here. It might get the backside, but at least it's not getting me. So that's what, or you can completely cover it, and now it's all gonna be contained within the towel. So you can brush a bit more aggressive without getting any sling back or forth. And one thing I always want to point out is that with detailing, anything that you're doing, it's not so much difficult as far as skill level, but more so is the patience to actually go through it all and keep that level of consistency and quality throughout the entire detail. So cleaning steering wheel interior, it's not difficult, it's just the patience and the consistency of it. Okay, so now I'm gonna move on to the actual handle here, whatever you want to call it. Now, this will probably be one of the more dirty parts because we're always turning the wheel, touching it. So yes, it's probably gonna be the dirtiest here. No surprise there. All right, and because it's black, it's a bit more forgiving as opposed to if it was like a light color, any color aside from black, really, it would show a lot more in terms of where the dirt's at. So you actually do get a little bit of a wiggle room in terms of like you may not get everything, but because it's black, you can kind of get away with it. Again, it depends though, because a lot of times I've cleaned steering wheels where it's just like a bunch of white residue on the steering wheel. So it just really depends, but I'd say generally speaking, you probably have a little bit more wiggle room with black because you can't really tell where the where the dirt's at, since it kind of blends in with the color. Now keep in mind, I'm in a very cool temperature scenario right now, so like usually I will be like in 85, 90 degree weather with 50, 60, 70% humidity. So I'm literally sweating bullets during that time, so I would not be moving this slow. But other than that, you could probably still use the same methods, but it is a completely different ball game when you are in dead heat for a 6-hour detail. You will work very differently in terms of speed and how long you let the product sit there on the whatever surface you're cleaning. So as you can tell here, I'm actually cleaning the stitching now, not so much the front facing part, but the stitching, as your fingers will be touching that area a lot too. And make sure that when you're thoroughly cleaning this and you're looking at the towel, more so if it's like a dark colored vehicle, make sure that you're actually cleaning off the dirt and you're not actually pulling off the color, the pigment off of the actual fabric, because that can happen where you're scrubbing very aggressively for a long period of time, and it seems like you just keep on pulling off dirt, and like the dirt it just doesn't stop coming out. But what that could be is you actually taking off the color. So if you're not, if you're just starting off, you want to be very cautious and make sure that you're not going overly aggressive with this, because you can take off the color and then it'll clearly show a blemish on the fabric, on the material, whatever you're working on, that you clearly like went too much. So, and that's at a point of no return, because then you need to get it dyed to really restore that same color back. So definitely just keep that in the back of your head of, are you cleaning the dirt or are you just taking off the color at that point? Keep that in mind. Okay, and now I'll follow up with the big brush, and I'll just wipe off any dust, get out any solution that's laying around anywhere, just to make sure I'm getting as much of it cleaned. Next, I'll have my dry towel, and if you want, you can spray like some ONR or some even just some water, just to make sure you're wiping everything down and getting any areas that need attention. And again, a big part is you want to look at it in different directions. You want to make sure you're looking around, because again, once the customer gets, or you yourself, if you're doing this as a hobby, is once you get in your car, we're looking at it very, if we're looking at just cleaning it from the front, it's like, okay, this is fine. But the customer, or you yourself, when you're driving, you know your own nuances, your own your own little habits that you form. So the way you drive, the way you turn the wheel, the way you feel it, might you might miss an area by not looking around, feeling it differently. So and that can upset yourself, or that can upset the customer. So it's just something to avoid altogether by just looking all around, feeling it, seeing, making sure everything is as good as it can get. All right, and that wraps up cleaning up the steering wheel. Pretty straightforward. Again, just to recap it, you want to make sure you're looking in different perspectives, different angles, just to make sure you're getting all the areas. It doesn't take that many tools or products to clean the steering wheel. If it's black, you get a little bit more wiggle room. Again, but if the blemishes are all white, then it's gonna really stand out. So it just really depends on the type of material and color you're working on. But other than that, if you have any suggestions, if you use a steamer, let me know in the comments below how your process, what you do, and what I can do better, or just any tidbits of advice you can give to anyone else that may be watching this video. So leave those comments down below, check the description box, like this video, and I'll see you on the next video.